We now believe in blood guilt. We punish people for the sins of their relatives. We don't allow individuals to have private thoughts. Can we convince millions of people to believe something that's completely absurd? That's very clear. In fact, it is. Are pushing hard. Well, at this point, we're becoming North Korea. You can't tell the truth when the truth actually matters. Then nothing you say matters.
Well, good evening, fellow white people, fellow Caucasians of the superior Caucasus region. Did you know that the blacks are at it again? Did you know that Antifa is coming to feast on the flesh of your precious children? Did you know that the PC police are coming to cut your dick off? That's right, dear listener, everything you've ever feared and more is true. Tune in tonight for Eastern Central, 8 p.m. Standard Coastal Time. Alright, fucking get the hell out of here, White Jesus. Hello. Ugh, there we go. Hello to anyone who has recently woken up from a coma. Currently the world is in upheaval for a number of reasons, but the two that we need to know about today are 1. There's a very real, very deadly global pandemic, and 2. Following the murder of an unarmed black man by police officers in broad fucking daylight, people around the world have taken to the streets to protest police brutality and extrajudicial executions, and for the perpetrators of those actions to be held accountable. Many more conversations have been sparked because of these events. For instance, the use of public funds, the treatment of essential workers, healthcare reform, and so on. All excellent conversations to be having with our fellow prisoners of this moss-covered spheroid flinging through the void. But no, you want the world to be better? Fuck you. Welcome to Fox News, where the conspiracies never stop.
In the last 10 days, some of our most prominent citizens have sworn allegiance to a cult. Converts go by the term allies, and like all cult members, they demand total conformity. This is not a momentary civil disturbance. This is a serious and highly organized political movement. It is not superficial. It is deep and profound. It has vast ambitions. It is insidious. It will grow. Its goal is to end liberal democracy and challenge Western civilization itself. This is an ideological movement. The ideas that fuel it have incubated for decades on college campuses.
That's right, my darlings. Tucker Carlson has turned his blabbering noise hole to you, the viewer, to tell you that the rumors are true. Everything is going to shit, and just as you suspected, the Browns, the queers, and the elites are behind it all.
That it seemed like chaos at the time, but it wasn't chaos. There was design just beneath the surface. There's nothing they can't do next. They can decide how you raise your children, how you vote, what you're allowed to believe. Once they've humiliated you, they can control you. If you make more than $100,000 a year, you are more than twice as likely to think cutting the police was a good idea. And there's no mystery there, of course. Rich people live in safe places. They can afford their own security. Jeff Bezos doesn't need the police, he's got his own. Alone among national leaders, Donald Trump warned Americans for decades about China and the perils of globalization. Remember 35 years ago when Democrats were constantly attacking the US military? We don't hear that anymore. Why is that? It's very simple. The left took over the Pentagon. And by the way, we should stop pretending that this is an election between Donald Trump and Joe Biden. There is no Joe Biden. The Joe Biden you remember no longer exists. The babbling husk you see may have the same name and similar features, but behind the mask there is nothing but a jumbled collection of talking points from the early 70s.
The candidate has no independent thoughts of his own. He has no core beliefs. He is empty. He is a perfect Trojan horse. For the people who've taken over the Democratic Party, he is perfect. Their plan is to ride him to power. Once there, someone tough and calculating and purposeful, Kamala Harris probably, will change the country.
In this time of uncertainty and unrest, people are turning to the news to try and make sense of it all. And according to Fox News' own numbers, 4 million people are tuned in to this speaking meat. Speet. In a sense, I'm going to be talking about all of Fox News, but I'm singling out of his contemporaries because this is my video, and I get to do whatever I want. Tucker is doing what all of his contemporaries over at Fox News strive to do, which is to build a career out of 10% reporting the news and 90% fan fiction. In my opinion. Now what I could do with this video is go through a catalog of his recent episodes, carefully nitpicking every single thing that he says to create a sophisticated counter-argument. But wouldn't it be equally as productive to just shove a lit match into my urethra? No. Instead, let's talk about what this kind of talking does.
In other words, what looked like protests were in fact highly effective attacks on Donald Trump's voters, his power base. They are unpredictable and they are mortally dangerous.
Welcome to the news. Here's a list of fun new enemies you have. Are they over here? Are they over there? Are they already in your house?
Social cohesion in America has been eroding for decades. People sense that. It made them nervous. It should make them nervous.
Social corrosion. Oh my God. Every single day the world is coming to an end and only I am brave enough to tell you who's to blame.
Black Lives Matter has changed the rules. And here's their first new rule. No criticizing Black Lives Matter.
That's right, Grandma. You might as well blow your fucking brains out right now because the Black New World Order is coming and they've already gotten to Elmo.
People of color, especially in the black community, are being treated unfairly because of how they look.
It's a children's show. Got that, Bobby? America is a very bad place and it's your fault. So no matter what happens, no matter what they do to you when you grow up, you have no right to complain.
Ooh, you're going after Elmo now, I see. Tucker, is this really what you and your staff want to be doing right now? Do you feel good about yourself right now? You feel like a big man.
Our leaders are happy to talk about everything but the collapse of the centuries-old civilization tumbling down around them.
The nation is collapsing. If even one person dissents to my worldview, we're in Armageddon.
All right now, let's just cut to the chase, Tucker. This country is on fire. We are facing an insurrection by people that we don't quite understand who they are. But by all indications, they are violent leftist thugs.
Ah, yes. Look at all the violence. I feel so threatened right now.
All right, the people are panicking. The country is on fire. Now, who is attacking us?
Help. Somebody. I'm being attacked.
It's Antifa, Department of Justice, NYPD. Others are saying this very clearly. These are people, by the way, that we faced back in the 1960s and 70s and early 80s. These were people who were far leftist, Marx, Lenin, folks who embraced that ideology.
All right, you really want to get into it? Fine. Yes. Shocking. Some of the people protesting are communists. Or at the very least, are borrowing from communist or Marxist ideas. Shut up! But that doesn't change the fact that Fox News has a fetish for throwing around words like communist and socialist and Nazi to fearmonger against anyone that they don't like. But you know what, my lovelies? I'm gonna let you in on a little secret. They don't actually care if anyone out there is a communist. The people at this network know full well that actually giving an unbiased platform to people with opinions outside of their circle is not going to give their viewers the sweet, sweet brain rush of fear and hatred for the unknown. They know that the smarter thing to do is to conceptualize anything that differs from the norm as an active, potentially violent political movement.
They create the chaos, you're not allowed to defend yourself. You are, in other words, and this is of course the point, wholly dependent upon them. In the future, the left envisions the only people who will have guns are people on their team. And that's exactly what defund the police really means. It means a woke militia policing our cities, enforcing Democratic Party orthodoxy.
Tucker, that is a lie. You are lying.
If I could quickly read you a description of a Tucker Carlson video uploaded by Fox News. These aren't protests. This is a totalitarian political movement, and someone needs to save us from it. So, just as another example of this compulsive need to create a very concrete enemy, Fox News is telling people that Antifa is an organization.
It would change the course of this country's future if the Justice Department rounded up the leaders of Antifa tomorrow, along with every single person caught on camera torching a building, destroying a monument, defacing a church, and put them all in shackles. And then frog marched them in front of cameras like MS-13 and called them what they actually are, domestic terrorists.
Which, it's not. Like, I'm sorry, I'm so sorry, but Antifa is not an organization. Antifa is short for anti-fascist. Like, there's no board of directors for the concept of not liking fascism. That's like saying that anarchy is an organization. Hold on, everyone. Stop burning down the Wendy's. I'm gonna go talk to the president of anarchy.
President Grace, would you care to comment?
They're not saying this because nobody at the office has access to Google. They're doing it because, as a company, it is in their best interest to tell people that any movement for change is violent and organized and coming to cut your dick off.
Who are the people trying to take over your country, cancel your rights, eliminate our centuries-long tradition of tolerance, yes, tolerance, and of free expression?
Which brings us to our next topic. The assertion that Black Lives Matter is a political party.
Here's some bracing news we never expected to report. Black Lives Matter is now more popular than the President of the United States. It's more popular than America's religious institutions, all of them. It's more popular than the media, the Congress, and big business. Black Matters is more popular by double digits than both the Democratic and the Republican parties. It's almost as popular as the US military. It's much more popular than the Pope. These are not protests. This is a totalitarian political movement, and someone needs to save the country from it.
That's right, fellow Caucasians. The blacks are using their constitutional right to congregate to conspire against us, and now they're taking over, just like great-grandpappy warned us.
The media, in their relentlessly fawning coverage, usually describe Black Lives Matter as an activist group or a protest movement. But that's deception by understatement. Black Lives Matter is not a collection of marchers with signs. It's not a conventional political lobby like Planned Parenthood or the NRA. It's not pressuring Congress to pass some narrow new set of laws. Black Lives Matter is far more ambitious than that. It is working to remake the country and then to control it. It's a political party. As of tonight, Black Lives Matter may be the single most powerful political party in the United States. Nobody says that out loud, but politicians understand it perfectly well. If nothing else, they understand power. They can smell it at great distances. And that's why they're lining up to bow before Black Lives Matter.
Hold on, everyone. Stop demanding an end to police brutality. I'm gonna go talk to the president of Black Lives Matter.
All right, who wants to be the president of Black Lives Matter? Where's my fucking copy of Paradise? God damn it, white Jesus, I thought I told you to get the hell out of here.
Alright, you guys, that was the last of the jokes. We're about to make a really hard tea right now, so just wanted to warn you.
What do the mobs want? Well, the thugs looting the Apple Store can't answer that question. They have no idea. They just want free iPads. National emergency. But you would never know that from listening to our elected leaders. Almost all of them pretend this is not really happening, or if it is happening, it's just part of America's long tradition of vigorous political discourse. Politicians on both sides tell us that this is all about the death of a man in police custody in Minneapolis last week. The people burning down our country are protesters. They're engaged in legitimate protest. Okay, what exactly are those protesters' demands? What are they asking for? If Congress agreed tonight to enact their program, what would the program be? Not a single person even hints at the answer because there is not an answer. No one has bothered to poll the guys beating up old ladies on the street or looting Gucci. But you've got to wonder how many of them have ever even heard of George Floyd. And if they have heard of him, what difference would it make?
That's right. Ignore what black people have been saying very coherently for weeks and months and years. Listen to me and what I am saying.
We don't really know what's happening, but the destroyers know. They know exactly what's going on.
No matter what they tell you, it has very little to do with Black lives, if only it did.
They are not seeking racial justice. If they were seeking racial justice, they wouldn't be denouncing their fellow Americans for their race, which they are. It has nothing to do with it. What they are seeking is total control of the country. And it goes without saying that none of this has anything to do with George Floyd. Shame on those who pretended that it did. No, this is not about George Floyd. It's not about police brutality. It's a power grab by violent extremists. But they didn't understand that. This may be a lot of things, this moment we're living through, but it is definitely not about Black lives. And remember that when they come for you, and at this rate they will.
They don't want justice. They don't want peace. They are a they, and we are a we, and the they are a danger to the we.
Not protesters, not civil rights activists, not CNN contributors, but domestic terrorists. Black Lives Matter doesn't make legal arguments. They're not trying to convince you of anything. Black Lives Matter believes in force. They flood the streets with angry young people who break things, and they hurt anyone who gets in the way. The terrorists are more popular than the President of the United States, and not just more popular than Donald Trump personally, but more popular than the system he represents and administers. Anyone who defies the narrative will be silenced. By that point, the category of hate speech will have expanded to include anything they don't want to hear, and it will be criminalized, a federal offense. You watch. If they can tear down a Lincoln statue because it's racist, they can ban the First Amendment.
are dying, and this is how you spend your time.
The forces of destruction have grand ambitions. It's not just about the Teddy Roosevelt statue. They plan to rule this country.
My son wasn't given a chance to live. I have a chance to live, so I will risk whatever it takes to say his name. Marcus Brown! Say my son!
Tucker Carlson, you frothing, depraved little man. I want you to look me in the eyes and tell me that this grieving mother is trying to take over the country.
Marcus Brown! Say my son's name, Marcus Brown! I don't know all of their names, but what I do tell you is I stand for all the mothers out here who lost their sons to police brutality.
Do the chants of these protesters sound like they're trying to take over the country? Look at their faces. Hear their voices. Are they a danger to you? On his show, Tucker can only show videos of property damage because in his narrative, in his constructed reality of a tangible, evil enemy, there is no room for grieving mothers, for grieving communities, for any kind of human emotions. He is creating a false narrative. Tucker Carlson is a liar.
People are in the streets demanding justice and change, and the people at Fox News, like every day, are choosing to peddle white supremacy to people who are scared, to make them more scared of things that are not true. But what does the news have to do with white supremacy? What does that even mean? Why didn't I open this video with a definition of it? Because I needed to build up to it. I needed examples and context. For those of you who don't know what I mean by white supremacy, no, not every white person is a member of the KKK. In the history of my country, the safety and success of white people historically has been given priority at the expense of the safety and success and sometimes the lives of non-white people. Now, is this a conspiracy theory? No, it is a conversation we are trying to have about things that have happened and how we can do better. Racism didn't magically go away when insert historical event here happened. It continues in different forms to this day, and people right now are wanting to change that. That is the difference between the people who are protesting and the people sitting behind desks at Fox News. The people protesting want to talk, to be heard and acknowledged, to do good. The people at Fox News want them to stop talking, to go away. People at Fox News are selling you the idea that Black people should stop talking and go away. In a time where people's voices need to be uplifted and heard, Fox News is telling you that the ideas and feelings of people, living, breathing people who are your equal, do not matter because they are a they and we are a we. And the we are more important than the they. We, they, white supremacy. And it is a choice. They don't have to have an angle. They could just report the news. Today, Black Lives Matter marched through New York City. Such and such amount of people were estimated to be there. Here's a video of something that one of them said. Now the weather. No, because that's not what they want to do. The world isn't divided into people with wings and people who are scheming over their morning coffee. It is filled with people who make choices every day to help or to hurt. In my country, white supremacy isn't always rednecks with tacky trucks or frat boys with tiki torches. It isn't always swastika graffiti or using slurs. Sometimes it's choosing not to educate yourself on history and current events. Sometimes it's turning away when someone needs your help. And sometimes it's choosing to tell your millions of viewers that the only way to protect you and your family is to believe that anyone who challenges your worldview or is different from you in any way is your enemy by default. This video has no call to action for Fox News because they clearly don't care about anything. So instead, to anyone who is watching, regardless of your ideology, please understand the power of your choices. You are my equal, and I love you. And Black lives do matter. This video is over now. Goodbye.